No one will be allowed to die, the government have proclaimed. Few relief workers on the spot believe that. And each day, a hungry population wonders when the food will stop. The girl belongs to a group of Harijans who have camped outside Gaya railway station since last December, feeding off the droppings of wheat grains as relief food is unloaded from train to lorry. These untouchables abandoned their village and invaded Gaya because they were starving. And in Bihar, which has a population the size of Britain's, 35 million face the threat of starvation in India's worst famine since independence. For 2 years, South Bihar has had little or no rain. No rain means no rice, which is the main crop. So last October, the Bihar government started relief operations. American food poured in, and foreign and Indian charities started feeding the hungry millions. Even this has not been enough. There are many, like the squatters at Gaya station, whom relief has not yet touched. In thousands of villages, starvation is approaching quietly, and even Indians, who have learnt to live with famines and crises unthinkable elsewhere, may yet be shocked. You feel little sense of crisis arriving in Patna, the capital of Bihar. Everyone knows there's a famine in the state, but then in India that's not unusual. And besides, this year there's been a general election attracting people's and the newspapers' attention. If you're interested, though, you can pick up the facts from a board in the airport lounge provided by the government public relations department. Hunger and starvation are not words that come easily to governments, so the official title for starving districts is drought-affected areas. After the extent of the crisis, a rundown of government relief. Impressive figures in black and white, but as one relief worker sadly remarked, the government think if it's down on paper, it's working. At the state parliament in Patna, a new government, the first non-Congress government ever, is now wrestling with the problems left after 20 years of corrupt Congress rule. Bihar has always been a poor, neglected state, unable to feed itself even in good years. The new government couldn't have worse problems, nor could its civil servants at the Secretariat as they tried to get relief schemes into action in a bureaucratic barrage of forms, always filled out in triplicate, and a flood of files that sometimes take weeks to go from department to department. If it's down on paper, it's working. Famine isn't new to governments in Patna. In 1786, the British built the Round House as a giant grain depot. It's still being used. The 1786 inscription on its side says it was erected for the perpetual prevention of famine in the provinces, a mocking sentiment for the hungry Bihar of 1967. In Patna, there is no acute food shortage. Situated on the Ganges, there is water for irrigation even in dry years, and its surrounding countryside is green and fertile. It's a misleading picture, for Bihar has made little progress in irrigation since independence. The 3 5-year plans show that £75 million should have been spent on irrigation, yet not one major scheme is complete. The same goes for wells and pumps. On paper they were provided, but often there was no electricity to run them, or bribes were demanded before they were installed. Now the government is trying to launch a crash program for drilling wells. It may be too late. Not far outside Patna, the effects of a cruel climate and years of neglect are plain. The rains in Bihar usually last from June to October. The rice is planted then and harvested in December. But these fields have had no rain since summer 1965. Even that was only a quarter of the average. Rivers like the Palgu at Gaya depend entirely on the rains. Without them, it is a desert, and irrigation in the district non-existent. In normal years, a fifth of the people in the Gaya district have just enough food to keep alive. Now, with no harvest of their own, they're being kept alive on foreign food, most of it from America. To keep the people of Bihar alive, the American organization CARE, short for Cooperative for American Relief Everywhere, launched a massive program last December to feed school children and expectant mothers. Helped by other charities like UNICEF, the Red Cross and Oxfam, it's now feeding nearly 4 million women and children in the state and intends increasing this to 6 million. The CARE program is carried out by government schools and school staff. It's slow, not always efficient, but only the government have enough people to work it. The food, usually 2 ounces of grain to 1 of powdered milk, is meant only as a supplement to tide children over the worst months of famine. But for some of the 2,000 fed at this centre, this was the only daily meal they were getting. One helper reckoned they couldn't hold out much longer on this alone. The old are not included in the scheme, but exceptions are made for those in great need. There are 4,000 care centres in Gaya district alone. Even so, some of these children walk from villages 5 to 6 miles away to collect this meal. Then, in their brass pots, they bear their precious food back again. One interested spectator of the UNICEF part of the CARE program was a man famous enough in the West, but absolutely unknown to the local Indian villagers. Marlon Brando, on tour for UNICEF, arrived unannounced in the starvation district and was shown around by UNICEF and local officials.
Yes. And those who are working in the village, the small kids are there, they go there and they get their milk.
Yes, yes. Okay, now why don't you talk to them? Why are you fighting to me? I'm only explaining the thing with yourself. Now see? काहे नहीं मिलता?
Why do you not take your child to school?
Want to their belly. They want that they should be whole belly should be.
Brando's visit was far from an in-and-out publicity dash, and unlike other visitors, he did get off the main road to the interior.
TK. How many children?
All in all, it was a modest performance from Brando, and definitely a non-speaking part. Apart from school feeding, the other 2 main planks of relief are the government fair price shops and heavy manual labour schemes. The government admit they're getting only half the grain for the shops, but say that an adult in the worst hit areas should receive 8 ounces of grain a day at their controlled price. There's plenty of chance for the corruption that Indians seem to expect in their dealings with governments. The customers at this shop complained they had never been able to buy their full ration. The shopkeeper said he only got half his supply from the government. Somewhere along the line, from government office to village shop, the food had disappeared, and someone was the richer for it. But even more vital is the provision of work, so that the hungry can earn money to pay for the food. The government say they're now employing 500,000 on their heavy manual labour schemes. The work on these sites, which consists of making primitive mud walls to catch the rain when it comes, is done through contractors. The rate here should have been 10p a day. The contractors were paying only 7p. The government say that if these labour schemes and fair price shops work, there'll be no famine deaths. It's a big if. And if these policies don't work, one of the famine victims could be Baneshwa. Baneshwa hasn't worked for 3 months. There was a government relief scheme nearby, but few got jobs on it. On piece rates, he says, he's too weak to earn more than 6p a day. Baneshwa lives in a roadside village in the Gaya district. His name means Lord of the Earth. No name could be more inappropriate, for Baneshwa is an untouchable and a landless labourer. Baneshwa's job was to work for the landlord who owns the fields round this village. For this, Baneshwa got paid in food for himself and his family of 5 children. There is no crop now on this parched soil, and no work. Even the landlord has little to eat. The rest of the village is no better off. It's not a remote place. It's alongside the main road. Yet like most Indian villages, it looks 2,000 years old. In such places, starvation deaths could go unnoticed, and it would be difficult to check any unusual rise in deaths, since records aren't available. The oldest man in the village says he can't remember a hunger like it. The 300 people of the village do have fair price shop ration cards. They were offered them just before the election, provided they voted for the ruling Congress party. They voted Congress. There's an apathy about such villages, even more terrifying in face of a disaster like famine. It's an apathy bred from centuries of subjection and poverty. No wonder Baneshwa seems resigned to living off berries as he is at the moment. He's never had enough money to buy his full grain ration at the fair price shop. So unless Baneshwa gets work, he and his family will slowly and undramatically starve to death. In the bleak landscape, there are 1 or 2 bright spots. The most surprising is at a remote village called Kwekala. Here, where little organised relief has penetrated, a starving countryside has been kept alive by private enterprise. A relief kitchen run by a 22-year-old New Yorker, Steve Minkin. Minkin, who was teaching on a Fulbright scholarship in a nearby state, came here on foot in January and set up his kitchen. A few weeks ago, he was joined by another American student, Michael McConnell. One of Minkin's helpers is an Englishwoman, Mrs. Jill Buxton from Durham. She drove her Land Rover from London to India in 1959 to do relief work with Tibetan refugees. Now she's the driver come nurse for the Kwekala kitchen. It's more interesting, she says, than sitting at home and playing bridge. What's your assessment of the situation here now?
I think it's very bad.
Do you think we're going to see famine deaths as a result of this drought?
I don't see how we can stop it. Because if we could do the whole of Bihar like we are the centre, then it would be all right. But it's
another Steve Minkin kitchen for every village.
But it isn't humanly possible. And you see they're getting weaker and weaker.
What's your view? Do you think the government have done enough here?
I think the whole thing has been mismanaged for the last 10 years, both foreign aid and the government.
Why foreign aid?
Well, for last October, it's happened practically every year, there was 5 million acres of paddy washed out and 3 million acres lost with the drought. And the Brahmaputra floods the most enormous area, and it seems to me incredible that in this modern age, instead of just rushing every year with blankets and every year with wheat, that we haven't got down to the bottom of the problem.
Long-term, you want long-term?
Long-term policy.
So in fact, you think that the outlook is very bleak in these 3 months that are coming up now?
I think very, very bleak.
Minkin now runs 2 kitchens with food supplied by Oxfam and hopes to start a 3rd soon. He's also launched his own work scheme so that villagers can earn money and not become dependent on free food. How many people are you feeding here?
About 1,300.
Are none of these people included in government schemes?
Some were included in care kitchens. I had to close the care kitchen in this area because the schoolmaster was out of supplies, and the villagers were very angry at him. So, no, none were covered.
Yeah. What about the men? I see there are women and children here, but what about the men? What do they do?
Well, these men are from the labor scheme. We're running a labor scheme nearby here, and some of them have come with their children, or the wives are working with them, so they usually take a break at this time, and children come and get the milk and milk harvest.
I mean, the men have to pay for their food. The women and children get them.
No, the men don't get any food from us.
Yeah.
They just come. The women work with the men on the scheme. They're an important part of the digging operation. They caught the mud away.
What about old people who can't work? Do you sometimes try and get them in your scheme?
Yes, we try to.
They can mix your ties.
Is there a danger that these people are getting dependent on your food here and maybe so dependent they won't do anything else and just keep hanging around you?
No, well, they may become dependent on our work schemes. I don't think of course they're coming dependent on our food schemes, but we have them working also. Work is the most important thing. If we should stop work here, then they would be at a loss. There would be a great deal of trouble for them.
If this food stopped, I mean, is this food keeping them alive at the moment?
It's certainly keeping them growing, I'd say.
But if it stopped, what results could you foresee?
If this food stopped, it would mean the hard labor scheme would stop also, and the light manual labor scheme, which would mean grain would stop also. This food is a supplement. We provide food. We provide work which provides food. Bus, Tika. 9. Oh.
But the children wouldn't get food anyway if you weren't here.
No. Oh, well, they might get again from the care kitchen, but again, the care kitchens are overcrowded at this point, so they would not get this much nutrition. No.
I mean, you've set up this, in fact, because this area was not catered for.
No.
Presumably would have starved unless there had been some food brought into this area.
Yes.
Yeah. Is there any danger, you think, that...
How many?
Any danger that maybe that when you go that things will run down? I mean, you're the guy who got this off the ground.
I'll be here up until June, keeping an eye on it, and there are some reliable people here. We expect that we'll only keep it open until August. After that time, if the rains come, the drought should be over, and we shouldn't be here.
There'll be some problem, but these people are good workers.
But if the rains don't come again, do you foresee that this may have to be a permanent thing because there's no food coming on the market till December?
If the rains don't come again, I can't even make the prediction. I can't imagine what would happen here. This would be going on the 4th year for this area with insufficient rain, 2 years of which have been called drought. I don't know what they do here. I really don't. I still can't imagine what they do here.
The results would be very unimaginable indeed, wouldn't they?
Yeah. If the rains don't come, I'm going to have to return and do whatever I can because it would be hell. I really think it would be hell.
The starving people of Bihar have to hold out another 8 months before their next rice harvest in December. But the hot months of May and June will be the cruelest. After June, if the rains come, there should be work again in the paddy fields. In the meantime, though, thousands may die unless the state speeds up relief.